Hello everyone, Fuzzy Bear Barian here. I've had a few comments asking me what my build is, so I'm going to show you here. Well, I'm going to show you the build that I finished the main game with at least, as that's my current build. Before I do, I should say that this build makes a lot of the game a little too easy. My goal when I started was to have a build that annihilated absolute everything. The problem is a build like that can trivialize what otherwise might be great fights, so well, it's not to say I didn't have fun using this. I did. I had a lot of fun. But in hindsight, once I finished the game, it was like, shit, I robbed myself of some epic battles. So, because of that, I intend to completely trash this build and replace it with a more challenging one. And for that reason, I'm going to show you that build now, or the build I'm about to trash now, because it's the last time I'll probably be able to show it. That said, you might want to annihilate enemies too, and you can with this build, assuming you play like me. The thing about Nioh is that you can customize your build to suit you though, so this build suits me, it may not suit you, or it may suit you and you might just need to change one or two things to make it suit you even better. Up to you. Either way, I'm going to show you right now, so let's get to it. As far as core stats go, heart, skill and magic are the three key areas that I put my focus on. Every other stat I leveled up as I required it, whether I needed it to unlock, I don't know, extra samurai ninjutsu or magic perks, or if I needed to increase one of those stats so that I could unlock armor set perks, that's what I would do. But I didn't put any points into anything other than heart, skill and magic unless I needed to. As far as armor goes, in the beginning I used whatever level armor would drop. I aimed for the Iga Ninja set. If you, at the start of the game, I mean there's different ways you can get the Iga Ninja set, but at the start of the game, it's not showing up there anymore now that I've gone to New Game Plus, but you can farm the Way of the Ninja dojo levels, the novice levels or the veteran levels, whatever, to get the entire set. I used the set only until the red demon armor set dropped, at which point I used the red demon armor set and nothing else. The reason for that is it has great perks. You can see with light armor it's good to have damage reduction, but primarily what I focused on more than damage reduction with this armor set is the close combat damage, the key recovery speed so that I can do a lot of attacks and it costs me less key. And also you can see that you get increased attack and defense when you wear this set, and it also works with Enko, that increased attack and defense, Enko being the guardian spirit of choice. I played the first probably half of the game with Kato. With the guardian spirit, I'll just load it up here. Enko doesn't open up until much later in the game, so I pretty much stuck with Kato for the whole game. Kato, even though it's the starting Guardian Spirit, it is a great Guardian Spirit for this kind of build because it enhances your key recovery speed, gives you more key, and gives you a lot of close combat attack damage, and I find that really good. As far as spirit protection goes, they're all pretty standard. They all are about 20%, so that's not really a consideration. With armor, I always tried to spec for defense, life, toughness and key. They're the four I always aimed at. Obviously when you're re-specking or reforging your gear, it's random and you get what you get. On the armor I'm wearing right now, a lot of this dropped for me battling revenants in the very last mission, the Demon King revealed mission, and because the level of this armor is 146, the armor I went in with was really low. Like I'm talking, some of the armor was level 70 when I went to that mission. For about 20 minutes I battled revenants in that area before I completed the mission, and a lot of those guys were much higher level than me, so I just put on the armor and took whatever perks came with it. but wherever possible, I've tried to reforge for defense, life, toughness, and ki. And the reason for that is the increased light. Because you've got light armor, you take a lot more damage. The more toughness and the more life you have, the less that damage impacts you. The more ki you have, the more damage you can put out without having to stop. And this build is all about, putting out a lot of damage fast, stun locking enemies with that fast damage, but also I try to spec for damage from behind as much as possible, so that, because you can really wipe out enemies fast if you can get behind them and hit them with damage from behind perks. You can, if you have a look at my latest Katana, that also dropped at completing the final mission of the main game. There's most of the perks that dropped on that weapon are actual perks I don't mind. Final blow damage is good. All the close combat attack perks and low attack perks are good, since I mainly use low attack, switching to mid often and rarely using high. If we have a look at what I unlocked for my skills on the sword, everything in this left column, except for any of these, I never used any of these. Everything in this left column I unlocked, although I never really used high stance, but I unlocked every single skill type that it enables you to use your ki pulse when dodging. That's such a good perk. I think it's a must-have. You can't go past it. And I unlocked it for every single stance, high, medium, mid and low, for the simple reason that sometimes I would switch between the three, accidentally. Even during fights I might accidentally bump or switch, and I always wanted to make sure that no matter whether I was aware of which stance I was in or unaware, that if I tried to dodge I would get a ki pulse. So I unlocked all of those. As far as absolute ki weapon stats, I went for Indomitable Spirit. I really find that if your health with light armor, you can take a bit of damage, and sometimes your health can drop pretty low, and getting the increased ki recovery speed is a major bonus. Pretty much go for every ki perk really in this tree. You can see Relentless 3, I've allocated 2 points to. Later on in the game you'll open up Mystic Arts. Definitely choose Sword of Execution. This is the one area where I didn't choose a ki perk, the other Mystic Art being Sword of Salvation, that reduces ki consumption when dodging. I find when you put a lot of points into heart, and you already get a lot of ki, and by the time you've unlocked this you don't need any more ki. Your ki management is pretty good by that point, but the damage from behind makes a world of difference. You can absolutely obliterate bosses and tough enemies when hitting them from behind with damage from behind perks and this Mystic Art set. Quadrisect is a skill point, a skill for making your living weapon a spam weapon. If you press triangle to attack everything around you, I find that's a must. Sometimes clutch situations or difficult areas where there's a lot of enemies on you at once, it can get you completely out of it by killing everything just by spamming your triangle button easily. As far as other skills go, my priorities were always low and mid stance. As far as parries go, I tend to not parry that much. Parrying takes a lot of good timing. Even when you think you've got the timing, sometimes enemies will kill you, and I like to parry against revenants, and I like to parry against other human users, but against anything else I find it can be pretty tough. So I don't really go for a lot of parries. However, I absolutely love haze. If you see haze stuns enemies and turns their back to you, and with this mid stance one with water shadow as well, same thing. When you parry, you turn the enemies back to you. When you're speccing to have damage from behind, any ability that you can unlock that enables you to turn the enemy around gives you almost an instant win. Once their back is to you, you can just slash the hell out of them and kill them instantly. So they're musts, and that's about it for the sword. I really don't, apart from key related perks and those, there's not a lot else I've spec'd out of control there. Spear wise, because I'm using the Red Demon armor set, the set itself gives you perks by having 6 pieces equipped. That's when to have 6 pieces equipped is what you need to get your key recovery speed of 28% up, and that's an essential must of this set. To do that though, you must always have the Red Demon armor set spear, the Akaini no Senkaku equipped. Now, that's a bit of a problem in that you have to devote a lot of resources if you're going to use that spear to soul matching it to keep it leveled up as you progress through the game. I didn't find it dropped a lot for me, so I was constantly working on leveling up the very first one that dropped for me. I didn't do any farming in my first main mission playthrough, so I could have gone back and farmed the enemy who drops the Red Demon armor set, but I didn't do that. If you want to do that, fine, do that. Otherwise, just keep soul matching your spear to keep it up to level. I did use the spear against multiple enemies. It's pretty good for if you get 3 enemies or two enemies onto you at once. You can use the spear to hurt them both at once a lot easier than you can with a katana. But overall, I didn't really use the spear that much. I just kept it on so that I would get the Red Demon armor perks. As far as ninjutsu skills go, I more or less ignored those. When I first started playing the game, I did start with the plans of being a full-on ninja. I unlocked a lot of these perks. They're really cool, and I'm probably going to use them again for a different type of build next, but as the game went on, I realized that to annihilate bosses, to annihilate everything was my goal. So for that, I really wanted to spend more points in magic, and for that reason, I kind of dumped the ninja skills, with the exception of the Quiver Maker, which I think is an excellent passive for carrying more arrows. You can see I maxed that out. Nothing from the upper skill tree. And I accidentally put a point into Tiger Running. Never used it. That was just a mistake. Sneak attack is an absolute must. For enemies who do not notice you, use your triangle button to perform a powerful attack from behind. When you've spec'd out for as much damage from behind as you can muster, that is an absolute bonus. You can one-shot a ton of enemies in the game just by sneaking up and hitting them from behind. Power pills I never used. I will be using those in my next build, but I never used those at all in this. I could have, but I tended to use the Carnage Talisman, which I'll get to in a moment, instead. Snakebite technique is a must. I maxed out all the skills in Snakebite technique. The first one gives increased recurrent damage by 10%, the second 5%, and the third 5%. So that's 20% passive recurrent damage. And with the Red Demon armor set, you can see that one of the bonuses of this set is enemy scorched. So fire damage, this suits fire damage, 32.8% close combat enemy scorched fire damage. And that's another reason why, when I didn't mention it before, the katana, my katana of choice, until this really high level one dropped in the last main mission with a massive boost to my attack rate, was always a katana that had fire. The actual katana I used for most of the game, if I find it here, not the doubles. Yep, that'd be right. A lot has dropped. I haven't managed my... Yeah, was the Haikuimon Ishimonji. This katana has fire as its inherent perk. You also, I think around mid-game, you get a smithing text that you can give to the blacksmith, and you can forge these. Unfortunately, they take a particular material that is a bit hard to come by, so you can't really forge a lot of them. I didn't forge one. I just kept whenever one dropped, that was the one I looked at potentially using. The perks I have on this one are not the perks I played the game with. I've been reforged. Before I gave this weapon up, for the high level weapon that dropped for me, I was reforging to try and get better perks. Didn't get them, unfortunately, and ran out of what I needed to keep reforging. But those perks are always focused on close combat attack perks, and damage perks, and also like things like familiarity damage bonuses. I definitely went for break. If I could get a low break or a mid break, I was extremely happy. Breaking enemy guards when you're spamming your low attack and you have a good low attack break or a good break, it can make the difference between spamming and then stunning, taking out an enemy, or having them block everything you do and then having to back off and recover your key. So I didn't want to back off and recover my key, so I always went for a break on my weapons. Back to the skill tree. Where are we? On Nioh Magic, I put a lot of points into this, into various parts of this. A lot of it I didn't. Things like fire talismans, which are very useful, and water talismans and whatnot, I pretty much ignored. I probably, if I was to replay it, I probably would get fire talismans since this was a fire build, but I never did that for some reason. But I would in hindsight, so I would recommend that. Perks that I actually maxed out were weakness talisman and sloth talisman. If you don't know what the sloth talisman is, it's a talisman that slows down enemies and seriously slows down enemies. It's when you use it, because my annihilation build is all about hitting people in the back more than anything. Sloth talismans give you ample opportunity to do that with just about every boss you'll face. A lot of people think actually sloth talismans are akin to cheesing because they do make it very, very easy. I don't know if I agree with the idea that they're a cheese, but they certainly do make it a lot easier than I think that it really should be. But you know, if you're trying to annihilate them, use it if you want. Don't use it if you think it makes it too easy. I won't be using it after my first game playthrough, or maybe I will, and I'll use it very sparingly. If I'm facing like multiple enemies, I'll use it on some enemies to slow them down to enable me to deal with multiple enemies. But I'll definitely use it less, if at all. Weakness talismans, on the other hand, weakness talismans are great. You can never have too much. The reason some people don't max out these, I do, for the simple reason that my whole build is I don't want to ever have to try and micromanage one or two talismans here or two talismans there. When I go to a prayer shrine, I like to have a choice on whether I'm carrying 6 sloth talismans or none, 6 weakness talismans or none, 6 carnage talismans or none, or mix it up with 4 of each, or 2 of those and 2 2 steel talismans, which I'll show you in a moment, and so on. So I like to have the choice, so I max them out so I can carry as many as I want, so I can use them as much as I want. Later in the game, you'll open up Mystic Arts. The Mystic Arts, if you do that, you can extend the duration of effects from skills and items. I never chose to do that. I always found they went long enough. With this build, once you use your magic perks or whatever items you use, whatever effects you get, are usually long enough for you to do what you need to do. So I never found a need to extend the effects of anything, so I went with Awakening, which enables you to instantly cast Nioh Magic on yourself. This is extremely useful against bosses that will rush you quickly or enemies that will get on your ass really quickly. And what you use those, the ones that I've been casting on myself were, if I can find them in the tree, where are they? Carnage Talisman's 1. A Carnage Talisman improves your attack output. So when you normally cast it, there's a slight delay in casting. It can be the difference between getting shot by a boss from a distance or not. When you have the mystic art of casting it on yourself instantly, you will absolutely cast it instantly. In fact, when I first started using it, I wasn't even sure if it had worked. I had to take note that the number of Carnage Talismans I had in my inventory had reduced to know I was even using it. There is a sound that plays, but in the midst of battle, sometimes you can miss that sound. And often you might even cast it twice on yourself to be sure. But it's very useful to have the ability to cast that quickly on yourself, as it is for steel and protection talismans. I unlocked the resistance talisman, never used it, but only unlocked it so that I could have the steel talisman and the protection talisman available. I never really used these that much, only in situations where I knew it was possible I might take damage from multiple opponents, and for that reason I only unlocked the first level of each of these, which gives you 2 protection talismans and 2 steel talismans. So when you go out, that's usually enough. If you're in a clutch situation, you pop one of each of these and you're quite tanky for a while and can take quite a bit of damage without it really harming you. Evil Ward 3, I suggest maxing that out. That reduces damage from yokai. The first level is 5, the second level is 3, and the third is 2%, making it a total of 10% damage reduction from yokai. That includes bosses, and it makes a huge deal if any of them actually do manage to hit you when you're wearing light armor. I also unlocked Rejuvenation Talisman. I did use it for a little while, and it is handy, but with this particular build, because you're wearing light armor, it's kind of good to have a number of elixirs handy, and for that reason, when you do have plenty of elixirs, I found that I rarely needed to use all of my elixirs. It was a very rare time where I got down to no elixirs, usually in the early stages of map 2, never at the end. So I definitely don't recommend putting a point into Rejuvenation Talisman. Do it if you want, it does work well, but I don't think it's necessary, and you have to put in 3 points just to unlock the node to get to it. So between those, that's 6 extra magic points you can use for whatever you would like to get that perhaps will suit you better than that I haven't got here. I talked about elixirs. One of the things, where is it? Receive Kadama Blessing. Healer Blessing was the one I chose. I ran with that all the time. Increases elixir drop rate by 25%. I never really found a problem with getting Amrita. I think weapons and armor drops a ton. Materials drop a ton. I really never felt like I needed more of that to be able to complete levels and complete boss kills and whatnot. But Healer Blessing with light armor, because you're going to get in all the time, put yourself potentially at risk by using light armor and getting in and fighting close quarters a lot. Healer Blessing elixir drop rate will make your life a hell of a lot easier to do that. You don't have to worry too much. You take a bit of damage, jump out, you'll have plenty of elixirs. They'll drop all the way through with I never had a problem once I had that set. So Healer Blessing is the way to go. I already mentioned, I think I already mentioned the Guardian Spirit that I chose is Enko. Let me see. Enko is supported by the Red Demon armor set, but it's not the only one. Once you open up the Hidden Tea House and you've got access to clans, you can join a clan, and clans will give you various benefits. There is one particular clan that works very well with the Red Demon armor set. That clan is called Li, L-I, or Lai, and I'll find it here to show you. Somewhere, where are you, Lai? Did I go past it? Alright. I must be blind. There we go. Li. So with close combat attack, it gives you an extra 2% and an extra 8% on toughness. It's not a great deal. If you have a look at all the different clan memberships, you'll see this is one of the least. You can see up here. You can see the 2 little icons. I just clicked out, but you can see the 2 little icons which show you there aren't a lot of people that choose that. I guess there's not a lot of people that see the perks, but I think with light armor, toughness is really handy, and I always want to max out my damage wherever I can, so I'll take that close attack damage perk from the Li clan. As far as equipment goes, I pretty much varied my equipment all the way through. Right now, I've got on a Magatama, which primarily I've got on for the living weapon attack enhancement. and also the recurrent damage from fire. I don't have it on for the other reasons, but because this is a fire build, using a fire weapon, Red Demon Armor gives you the 30% fire perks. Any recurrent damage from fire you can get is extra massive damage that you'll be taking off anything that you've hit. Earlier on in the game, I was running some lower level items that had fire damage as well as recurrent damage from fire, and also I looked heavily for living weapon duration and living weapon durability perks, so that whenever I used my living weapon it would last longer, and if I took hits it wouldn't damage it wouldn't reduce it as much. In the beginning I think I probably needed that more, but as I progressed and got better at the game, I found I needed my living weapon less for survivability, and more for just finishing off bosses quickly in their low percent health, most dangerous damage phase. So I used living weapon, my living weapon less, and as a result I spec'd for it less. You can see here only living weapon attack enhancement is all I've done. Durability and duration I haven't cared about. I put on these prayer beads because of yokai close combat damage and versus yokai realm. Since the hardest enemies you face in this game are obviously demons, any perks you can get for yokai damage and yokai realm I think are well worth taking. As far as the talismans go, I did mention which talismans, but not how I use them. You can watch my boss kill videos and you'll see how I use them. It's pretty obvious. You bind them to your D-pad keys and use them. Once you're locked onto an enemy, you just activate the relevant D-pad. Weakness talisman, carnage talisman, sloth talisman, I would activate all of those almost straight away, and protection talismans in the end if I needed to. I only put the signpost talisman on towards late game because I got lost somewhere and it frustrated me, so I found my way pretty easily by not retreading where I'd been. But I never really used that before. Pretty much here I had Sacred Water to give me extra ki, and usually a throwing bomb of some nature, or if I was fighting something that needed antidotes or to poison or paralysis or something, I would put that in there as well. But pretty much didn't really use this second set of binds much, mainly these three and elixirs, because that's all I really needed. What else? So that's the weapon, armor, core stats, guardian spirit, and skills. I think that pretty much covers everything that I can really talk about regarding my build. Like I said, my build, I really created this build because it suits me. It's more of a fast moving, fast key recovery and fast damage build, and it's good. It's a great build for perking out damage from behind, so that you can annihilate any enemy that's moving slow that swipes at you. Get behind them, hit them in the back over and over and over with either low or mid strikes. Either one works for me, and will probably work for you too. Okay, I think that's probably all I need to go over for now. It's Fuzzy Barbarian out. Have fun.